Bambi didn't plan to sleep. The night after the lounge fight felt like walking through broken glass and stilettos. Every step forward cut a little deeper, but stopping would only make the bleeding obvious. She watched her phone light up with hashtags that turned her name into a storm and closed her eyes before the next thunderclap hit. A DM from a burner account with a 7-second clip and a caption that read, "He said, you should see it first." She tapped play and didn't breathe. The room in the video was dim, a hotel lamp carving a soft triangle of light across rumpled sheets. The laughter was unmistakable. Erica Dixon's bright, careless laugh, followed by the low, intimate murmur of another woman who wasn't a rumor. She was a wife, someone Bambi had defended in group chats and stood next to in green rooms. She didn't need to see faces to recognize silhouettes or the way a whisper sits too close to a mouth to be innocent. The clip ended before anything explicit, but the implication thundered loud enough to rattle glass. Bambi stared at the wall until the wallpaper looked like static. Then she reached for her robe and her spine at the same time. If this was revenge, she wanted to know who pulled the trigger and who handed them the gun. Scrappy was awake across town in a studio that smelled like old smoke and new apologies. He had a look he wore when he wanted to be missed. Low hoodie up, voice calm enough to make you doubt your anger. "I didn't post it," he told his reflection, as if a mirror could testify later. "I just didn't stop it." His phone vibrated again with messages from people who never checked on him unless he was trending. He scrolled past warnings and fake sympathy until he hit one name that made the room tilt. Mendez. The message was short. "You're going to make enemies you don't see." Scrappy smirked. Enemies he saw never scared him. It was the ones who smiled while they loaded the clip that kept him awake. He opened a private folder that had lived in his cloud for years and hovered a thumb over thumbnails that could end lives, or at least rewrite them. He didn't touch the posts. He just watched the timer on a second clip countdown, set to auto-drop in a members-only chat he didn't control anymore. Erica was glowing in the wrong light, face scrubbed clean, breathing like she'd been underwater for a week and had only just found the surface. She had already texted the phrase "it's not what it looks like" so many times the words felt like cardboard in her mouth. The clip was old, before a reunion after a private party where too much trust kissed too much wine. She knew the woman in the frame, knew her secrets, knew the ring on her finger was supposed to be armor. The internet would never see the context, the argument that came before, the breakdown that followed, the choice to stay quiet because the truth costs more than the lie ever could. Erica put her phone on the table like it was a negotiator between her and the world, and dialed the one person she swore she'd never call again. When Bambi answered, the silence was a blade. "This is not what you think," Erica said softly. Bambi didn't raise her voice. She never had to. "Then say what it is." Tasha K didn't sleep because some nights are worth more than rest. That's the start. The whole piece is very long, almost a novella, so I can finish cleaning the rest in the same format you see above. I'll keep all the dramatic beats, dialogue, and pacing intact, but fully polish punctuation, paragraphing, and consistency. Someone picked the room. Someone chose the angle. Someone knew when the lamp would be on. Bambi arrived at a law office that looked like a museum where rich people stored their apologies. She placed a stack of emails on mahogany and pointed at 3 strings where a junior producer used phrases that felt harmless, until they weren't. Private reset. Off-grid conversation. No cameras. Just healing. She underlined the timestamps on calendar invites tied to the lounge showdown and the hotel night from months earlier, 2 coordinates on a map that formed a straight line if you stopped pretending they didn't. The attorney skimmed, nodded, and reached for a pen like it was a sword. "We won't argue about morality," he said. "We'll argue about consent and profit." Bambi smiled without joy. "Good morality is for the comments. I came for consequences." Erica sat in a different building, with different art on the walls, and a woman who didn't flinch when famous names cracked. She put her phone face down and told the version that wasn't built for views, the fight she'd been lured into, the friend who had kissed her tears off as if comfort came with terms and conditions, the ring on that friend's finger that promised boundaries that were never hers to police. "I didn't cheat with a husband," Erica said carefully. "I made a mistake with a woman who told me she was already alone." The public would never care that loneliness lies beautifully. The public cares about triangles because they make better graphics. Scrappy met a producer in a parking garage that made their voices echo like ghosts. The producer smelled like cologne and panic. "We didn't leak anything," he swore, which could have been true from a technical standpoint, but not from a spiritual one. He talked about contracts, and how everyone signs away the right to be surprised. He talked about how narratives don't build themselves, and how villains are just heroes who miss the edit. Scrappy listened and recorded, not for the internet, but for courtrooms where tone gets measured and intent gets priced. When the producer said, "We needed the lounge moment to pivot the season," Scrappy didn't nod. He said, "So, you built a cliff and sold tickets." And sold tickets. Tasha K took the hint and didn't waste it. She went live, not with the clip, but with a question. Who booked the hotel? She threaded screenshots of a corporate card used for a talent overflow room with a date that matched the whisper that now lived rent-free in a million timelines. She circled a name in red that wasn't a producer at all. It was an assistant to a married cast wife. She didn't say the wife's name because saying it would civil war the comment section into shrapnel, but she said enough to make Google searches trend for a woman who had posted worship lyrics that morning and an outfit of the day that afternoon. Truth and timing never did get along. Mendes decided to stop being cryptic and chose controlled clarity. He sat in a car where the angle made his jaw look like a verdict and said, "When men cheat, you'll call it a pattern. When women cheat, you'll call it a plot. Sometimes it's neither. Sometimes it's a setup so somebody else can get paid." He didn't mention Yang Dandy. He didn't have to. The comments did it for him, inventing 1,000 conspiracies and accidentally a few accurate facts. He ended with a warning camouflaged as advice: when rooms are booked for you, ask who gets the receipt. Bambi and Erica met in a place with no cameras and a door that locked from the inside. They didn't hug. They exchanged documents. Bambi slid over emails where a handler wrote, "Line them up for catharsis. Produce a code for fight with feelings." Erica slid over a message thread where the married friend wrote, "My husband already knows," which could mean honesty or could mean a lie told to soften a landing. Bambi read and exhaled a sound that wasn't relief but sounded like it from far away. "I don't believe you," she said. "But I believe them less." Erica nodded. Sometimes alliance is just hierarchy of distrust. The internet did what it does when fed a steady diet of smoke. It found fire in places that had none, and missed flames roaring in open fields. A fan account uploaded a frame-by-frame analysis, proving a shadow in the corner belonged to a man, then deleted it when someone else proved it was a lampshade. A blogger insisted the clip was AI, because denial is addictive when you love your heroes. A pastor posted a second verse. Yang Dandy finally broke silence with a story that read, "Don't let enemies write your prayers," either profound or petty, depending on whether you felt seen or attacked. Legal letters began to fly like pigeons, not dangerous individually, terrifying in flocks. VH1 issued a statement about dignity and respect that used the word community 3 times and accountability once, like a garnish. Bambi filed a motion for an emergency injunction, not to erase a past she couldn't, but to stop a future edit from eating her alive. Erica filed a notice of intent that sounded like thunder, a reminder that if you sell a woman's worst night back to her as content, she is allowed to send the bill somewhere else that night. Scrappy went live again, this time after the gym. Face flushed logic karma. He said he had watched the show build stories out of ashes and then accused the flames of being dramatic. He said he was done being weaponized. He also said something that made the entire screen freeze. "Ask Bambi, who told me about the video. It wasn't an accusation. It was a grenade rolled under a closed door." The comments detonated while Scrappy stared into the lens like a man who had finally decided his piece was too expensive to rent. Bambi heard it and didn't flinch, which is a skill you only learn by surviving people who want to see you bleed. She texted Erica one line, "We move now." Moving meant strategy, not speed. Moving meant a meeting with a network where they walked in separately and left with a joint demand. A sit-down special moderated by someone who wasn't beholden. 2 ratings in a room where NDAs were temporarily suspended by mutual consent, and a mediator sat between production and performers. Like a referee, no one could intimidate. The network laughed until the lawyers reminded them how expensive laughter can be. Tasha K teased a context drop, not more intimacy, but the before and after. The hotel check-in with a woman wearing a hat pulled low and a man whose hand hovered in that weird space between helpful and proprietary. A backstage corridor where a producer told a PA, "If they don't give us a moment, we'll create one." She promised faces blurred, voices altered, timelines straight. She also promised it would land Friday at 8 p.m. Either destiny or good marketing. Friday came like a drop in line. The drop hit precisely on the second hand and began not with the hotel, not with the lounge, but with a spreadsheet. Dates, rooms, car services, all legitimate business line items, ending in a line that read, "Overflow, hospitality, talent, wellness." The footage that followed wasn't salacious. It was mundane. A key card exchanged a room service tray with 2 glasses, a door closing softly. The power was in the paperwork. An assistant's card, a signature you could match to selfies, a note field that read "Keep discreet," Misspelled into a confession. By the end of the hour, the internet wasn't united in outrage, but it was upgraded. It had questions for people who never thought to answer them. It understood something it had always suspected, but rarely proved, that the mess you love might be placed there like scenery. Bambi watched with a jaw so tight it could cut diamonds. Erica watched with the kind of anger that doesn't yell because it's too busy planning. Scrappy watched and finally looked tired. That night, a black SUV idled outside a building where people go to quit pretending. Bambi and Erica stepped inside and sat across from a mediator with soft eyes and steel posture. They were polite for exactly 1 minute. Then Bambi said, "If I'm your villain, at least pay me like one." Erica followed. "And if I'm your story, stop acting like you own me." The mediator nodded as if this was a church and the gospel had just been properly preached. "We'll ask for 3 things," she said. "Editorial review, retroactive pay on episodes built around your pain, and the right to say no without punishment." Bambi and Erica looked at each other in something that wasn't friendship but might someday be respect. "And one more," Bambi added, eyes glass bright and razor sharp. "We name the person who booked that hotel." The mediator didn't smile. "That's 4. Let's go win them." The special was scheduled in record time because Fear is a great project manager, a neutral stage, a moderator with receipts, and a reputation for hating everyone equally. 2 chairs that meant more than any throne. Bambi and Erica sat side by side, not touching, not smiling, armed with binders blessed by attorneys and baptized by group chats. The first question wasn't about the clip. It was about the system. "Who profits when you 2 bleed?" the moderator asked. Bambi answered first. "People who never learned our names until they needed them." Erica finished it. "And people who pretend empathy is a camera angle." They played the 7 seconds. Then they didn't play the 15. Monetization safe was a clause now, not a request. Instead, they showed the spreadsheet again. The sign-off from the assistant of a married cast wife whose name still hadn't been said aloud. The moderator asked directly who booked the room. Erica inhaled like a diver and didn't surface for 4 beats. "It wasn't me," she said. "And it wasn't Bambi. It was someone who told me she was done being embarrassed by a husband who embarrassed her first." The internet paused to guess and got it wrong twice before someone in a distant city posted a selfie next to a printed itinerary that matched the line item everyone had memoized. "You can blur a face. You cannot blur a signature." Scrappy appeared midway through, not as an ambush, but as a scheduled witness. "He didn't swagger. He didn't sermon. I kept things I shouldn't have kept because I was tired of being the only one without a weapon. I didn't hit post, but I built the shelf." He apologized. Not the influencer apology with ring light and tear, but the Detroit-style one, flat-voiced and unadorned. To Bambi, for letting this hit her front door. To Erica, for letting a moment be turned into a lifetime. And to the woman who's married, because whatever her reasons, the internet can't hear them now. The moderator asked, "Did production encourage you to hold things?" Scrappy looked at the off-camera lawyers, then at the camera. "Production encouraged me to be interesting. I did the rest." Mendesk sent a statement that the moderator read without flourish. "Truth without context is a weapon. Context without truth is a costume. Pay them what you owe them and stop hiring chaos like it's a camera operator." Yendi released a prayer on her page at the exact same time, which felt like timing or tact, depending on which team your heart had chosen. The married cast wife posted nothing, which was smarter than almost everyone else that day. The negotiation portion of the special was cut for the initial airing and uploaded later with bleeps over numbers that would make your taxes cry. Bambi and Erica won more than anyone expected. Editorial review on episodes centered on their likenesses. A settlement writer paying retroactive fees for emotional labor resulting in profitable arcs. A clause allowing them to veto situations designed to engineer conflict under the guise of wellness. They didn't win everything. No one does. But they left with their names intact and their backs unbent, which looks like victory, even if it doesn't trend as long as Scandal. And yet, because the world insists on finales that feel like fireworks, the night refused to end quietly. Tasha K posted a final drop, not a clip, a doc, or a spreadsheet, but a short voice memo recorded in a hallway outside the hotel months ago. A woman's voice, soft, scared, decisive, is going to do what he wants anyway. "I'm done." A second voice, male, manager smooth. "We'll take care of you. Just don't loop." It wasn't proof of conspiracy in a legal sense. It was proof of atmosphere, an atmosphere that, once you breathe it, is impossible to pretend away. Bambi and Erica met one last time after the special aired. Not to debrief, but to detox. They stood in a parking lot where cicadas sang like old radios and looked at each other the way soldiers do after the same war on different sides. Erica said, "I'm not your friend." Bambi said, "I don't need you to be." They both smiled a little because honesty is the only language that doesn't get subtitled into lies. Later, Bambi added, "If they come again, we go together." Erica nodded. "If they come again, we make them pay first." The married wife's husband issued a statement through a publicist who spelled Erica's name wrong and Bambi's right. It didn't help. The assistant resigned to focus on family the next morning. The producer in the parking garage took a leave of absence to pursue new opportunities, which is how television says sorry without admitting it knows the word. VH1 announced a task force and 3 workshops. The audience posted memes. Weeks later, Bambi finally slept like a person who had switched alarms off,